The couple was sleeping soundly at midnight when the younger cousin quietly sneaked into their bedroom. She rummaged through the trash and carefully took out their used condom, placing it gently into a small bag. She had always been jealous of her cousin. Not only was the woman beautiful, but she had also married a wealthy husband, lived in a mansion, and drove a luxury car, while she herself could only work as a maid in her cousin's home. To get revenge, the cousin planned to use the condom to get herself pregnant, then force her way into the family and kick the woman out. But little did she know, the woman had been awake the whole time and had seen everything, because this woman had been reborn in her previous life. She had taken in her cousin from the countryside out of kindness, but 10 months later, the cousin accused her husband of harassing her while holding a child she claimed was his. The evidence was clear, and her husband was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Although the woman couldn't accept the truth, she always believed in her husband's innocence, but before she could find the truth, she was murdered by her cousin and her aunt. After that, all the couple's wealth and property fell into the hands of the cousin and her child. Perhaps heaven took pity on her and sent her back to the very night her cousin stole the used condom. This time, she was going to make them pay. The next morning, she rushed to the hospital where her cousin had faked the pregnancy in her past life and bribed the staff to secretly swap the condom. Meanwhile, the mother and daughter pair still dreamed of joining high society. After the procedure, they rushed to the woman's home, acting arrogant as they waved the pregnancy report in her face, claiming they were now carrying the heir of the family. But this was exactly what the woman had planned. Remembering their cruelty from her past life, she didn't confront them directly. Instead, she smiled in shock and joy, saying she had already arranged the best postpartum care center for them. Hearing this, the two were thrilled, but when they arrived, the staff asked them to pay the bill. They froze, realizing they had been tricked, but unwilling to give up their fantasy of inheriting the fortune. The cousin gritted her teeth and paid the fee. 10 months later, after giving birth, she began ordering the maids to throw out the woman's things, trying to take over the master bedroom. The commotion drew the husband over, and the cousin immediately told the child to call him daddy. The man was stunned. He quickly denied any relationship with the cousin and turned to his wife, publicly pledging his loyalty. But the cousin put on a pitiful act and started telling everyone how the child was his. The man shook his head. He remembered that night he had been drunk, but nothing happened. Still trying to prove her point, the cousin pulled out a photo of them together as evidence, then began crying and yelling while holding the baby. The woman stayed calm. She walked over to the child and silently plucked a strand of hair. She was ready to do a paternity test, because she knew only hard proof would destroy her cousin's lies once and for all. Fed up with their chaos, she ordered the guards to throw the mother and daughter out, then rushed to the hospital with the hair sample. But the real drama had just begun. Outside the villa, the cousin was putting on a show, crying to neighbors about how she had been mistreated, how she had been forced to bear a child, only to be kicked out. Sympathetic passers-by immediately decided to defend her, stormed into the house, and began berating the man, calling him a scumbag. The man was shocked. He never thought the cousin could be this malicious. To make things worse, the cousin publicly demanded that he divorce his wife and marry her, or she would take him to court. Her shamelessness encouraged even more greedy relatives, who began looting things from the house right in front of him. Just then, the woman finally returned in time.